uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I wanted to do another follow-up video on this whole Britney Spears ridiculousness that's going on, because I personally believe that this could be something that might possibly wake people up who are asleep to MK Ultra mind control programming, to satanic ritual abuse, which, now these types of things they call schizophrenia or having multiple personality disorder and things like that. This is all brought on by our government. Now, people like Britney Spears go through trauma-based mind control and things like that, that involve torture and all types of methods to control these people and create splits and alters in their mind at a very young age. But the government has been using MK Ultra on us through the television set for a very long time. Now, let me just bring to light to you what has occurred with Britney Spears in the last few days, which are pretty should be something you think would open people's eyes. Britney Spears had a court meeting on Friday and told the judge that her father is the one who committed her to a mental health facility against her will and forced her to take drugs. Now, this is common with handlers. We saw something similar with Kesha, and people thought Kesha might be breaking free from her MK Ultra programming, that her producer, or whoever the guy was, her agent, had full control over her. I mean, the fact that people don't find this weird, that these people are going to court and trying to get their own rights, and people are tweeting "Free Britney." It's like, well, if you believe that she's being held against her will, isn't that illegal? Shouldn't somebody do something about it? But of course, you have to understand that these people in government, these judges, these are all Freemasons at the very least, all people who are members of secret societies, and they all work and network together. But now the headlines are saying Britney Spears has joined the Free Britney movement, which has become this social media movement where people are tweeting "Free Britney," and they think it's just some type of ruthless control, that her father's suppressing her and putting her in mental homes. They don't understand what this is about. Okay, I said it in the last video, or one of the videos I did on her, talking about how these handlers will do everything possible, including eliminate these people, if they feel they are a threat, to release any information about what was done to them, which mainly pertains to satanic ritual abuse. And for those that don't know what SRA is, satanic ritual abuse, that is what all of these child actors and actresses go through at a young age. They are sexually abused in satanic sex magic rituals based off of the teachings of their hero, Aleister Crowley, the man who called himself the Beast. And a lot of them are their own parents who do this or partake in it and use their children in these covens and cults for rituals, and these people have no souls whatsoever. So I know people will hear this and they'll say, well, what kind of parent would do that to the kid? Because they can never fathom it. They can never believe it. You have to understand that these people are evil, wicked people. And when you're a member of a coven and a cult, all you seek in life is money, fame, power, and they lust and crave over these things. They don't have loyalty to their own children. This goes back to the Old Testament and Baal sacrifice, sacrificing children to Baal, which God forbid people from doing, but they kept on doing it. They're still doing it to this day. But they've been using MK Ultra to create and program these young children, which started with the Mickey Mouse Club, and we've seen it at Nickelodeon. And then these same children become huge, famous stars and influential over all of their fans. And that's the whole point. They keep control over them. And, another thing that just shows that this is, this ridiculousness of a real breakdown, that her control is, her programming is completely split, which is not a good sign for her in the long run. But she left the courtroom, and some people said she was in the courtroom barefoot. There's pictures of her leaving court with no shoes on, no socks, no sandals. And she's in there telling the judge, one side of the story, and then TMZ backspins the story. So they say that Britney is claiming that the father is holding her against her own will, right? And it says sources with direct knowledge say Britney has done an about-face telling the judge her father committed her to the mental facility and is forcing her to take drugs. Okay? Then they go on to say, this is how they spin stuff like this, because they want it to seem like these people are all crazy and insane and unstable. And that's why when they off them, people don't go in an uproar about it. They go, oh, yeah, they had problems. Because when these people come close to outing this information, if they have already slandered this person's reputation in the media, like they've done with celebrities like Cat Williams, right? Look what Dave Chappelle had to do to get back in, right? Remember when he broke out and left because of the stuff he'd seen? Cat Williams was becoming a big star. He got suppressed because he was coming out talking about this stuff in his stand-up skits about the weird stuff going on there. Richard Pryor, even at one point, was talking about this stuff. What they do is then they come out and they say, show all this crazy stuff and tell you that these people are crazy and unstable. That way, when something happens to them, they automatically go, yeah, they struggle with mental health. They struggle with mental health. They struggle with mental health. And they could just completely off them. Or if they need to twist the story that comes out about sexual abuse, they can say, well, Britney was making all this stuff up. Oh, this is the same stuff we hear with all these stories like the McMartin preschool trial. Again, if you're new to the channel, please watch my videos on it and research it for yourself. Anytime people come forward, kids come forward about sexual abuse involving satanic ritual abuse, they dismiss it. The West Memphis 3, they got off. The Oak Hill case, they got off. The McMartin case, they got off. Because they create this illusion in people's mind that there aren't Satanists walking around. There are. And they do these things, and pedophilia is one of them. Okay? And I mean, this should be something that wakes people up. Trauma-based mind control, is systematic torture. And really what it does is just blocks that person through these methods of mind control that they brought in from these Nazi scientists, who were practicing this stuff on people, doing experiments on people. They brought them over Operation Paperclip, and the government admitted that the CIA has done this to people and been testing this on people. And what it does is the systematic torture blocks that person who is under that form of mind control from processing any conscious thought. In other words, they're programmed and fed what to do, what to say. They're almost like there's nothing inside. That's why sometimes you see the MK Ultra glitches on TV. You'll see somebody just staring into space. They just, just like that. Right? We see it with like Al Roker, Shaquille O'Neal. We see it with various news anchors, right? Because they're all put through this as well. They're pretty much like they read off a teleprompter, but in reality, they're like real life teleprompters. People are just programming in what these people are supposed to do and talk about and how they're supposed to act. And sometimes a glitch occurs in their programming. That's exactly what this looks like with Britney Spears. So you would think maybe all these people who are claiming free Britney, they would say free her from what? Well, free her from her parents' control. Oh, okay, so what are you saying? She has abusive parents? Yeah, okay, well, for starters, do we live in a country where somebody, Britney, what is she, 40? Should be under somebody's control? I mean, it's supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave. So why aren't her fans saying, we don't understand what's happening here? Let's free her from this. Why are they allowed to put her in a mental home? Why are they allowed to have power over her? Why? Because they say she's dangerous? Because she shaved her head bald once? No, because this is how it works in Hollywood. All of these actors, all these musicians have handlers above them. They control them. This is what you saw with Kanye West recently. Okay, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here because I've talked about it in the previous videos on it. But all of these people who are victims of it follow directives with no conscious awareness. They have no idea that they're even being given orders. You can control the brain, especially at a young age, when a lot of these kids, like Britney, like Justin Timberlake, break into the industry and their brains are just programming information. That's why they torture these kids at a young age, because then they can gain control over them through trauma. Right? Be a little different if they try to do it to someone like you or me now. Now, of course, they could, these are the types of techniques you hear about that are used in war and things like that. Well, they do it on their own people for their own agendas. And what really ends up happening as they're going through the mind control is they disassociate. They stop feeling emotion. They suppress everything. And they hide everything, and they don't even know that it's in there. There are books that I've read from people who have been victims of satanic ritual abuse who didn't realize they were victims until 40 years later, 50 years later in some cases. And something happens that triggers them to remember all these suppressed memories from abuse from their own parents. Suddenly they remember the covens that their parents were in when they brought them at 4 years old to these underground meetings and performed satanic rituals with the children, having them partake in sexual acts and all this stuff. Mind control is real. Your brain is like a computer. It can be programmed. The problem is that they're using programming right now that's all about pride and ego. That's why everybody's just so egotistical, right? Everybody's about me, me, me. Facebook, me, me, me. Instagram, me, me, me. With that type of programming, it makes it very hard to wake people up because they're too prideful to see these things. They're too prideful to think that you know something that they don't know. Because you went to school like they went to school, or they knew you growing up, so they will never think that you know something that they don't know. And that's why they use all this comedy and stuff to deflect off it. So this Britney Spears thing just continues on. It's pretty clear. I mean, she's going to court telling a judge that she's being held against her own will, that her father's the one who sent her to a mental home, that her father's the one who is drugging her. And then you have the media come out and say, well, first she said it wasn't him. So clearly, she's got mental problems. Oh, they let her, leave the facility when she wanted to. And I showed you the pictures. You'll see them above in a lot of the video here. I mean, it looked like her brain is fried. That's exactly what happened to these people. So hopefully, maybe people who are fans of hers will start looking into this and realize that this stuff is real, that the abuse has been going on since she was a child, just like it has for all of these actors and actresses in Hollywood. Now, thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.